Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Shark. Let me start this off. I was able to go to the rally like Friday, and just pretty much just my whole experience was just one of the most beautiful things, I've been able to experience in my 27 years of living. Like the whole city of Memphis really set the example to not just like other Americans, in the U.S., but just around the world. Just showing how we were able to peacefully protest. You know what I'm saying? When people hear Memphis, they hear, first 48, you know what I'm saying, killing people, just doing whatever we can. But when you're able to get that amount of people, different races, different colors, different genders, is one of the most beautiful things. But I gotta say, this one was different than the one that I attended a few years ago when we shut the bridge down for a few hours. It was brief, but it's always about the money. But this one felt different because it was a lot of white people out there that was able to share their frustrations, and you can see it and you can feel it. And it was a time for them to talk, and you can hear it in their voices. And it's about damn time, honestly, because we've been through this for so long. It's ridiculous. It's about time that they started to notice it. And now, like I said, you can feel the frustration. And I was able to feel that on Friday. As far as like the looting things go, like I'm not for it and I'm not against it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all about hitting them at their pocket so they can understand where we're coming from and our voices. But at the same time, you know what I'm saying, we can't do it in our own communities. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that I have with everything that's going on right now. Like the reason I thought of equality over revenge, because it can be 100 times worse. You know what I'm saying? People are out just thinking about, oh, they looting. First of all, it's not just us black people that's looting too. You can find numerous videos about different races looting. But the thing is, like I said, is people money getting hit, but we can't be doing it in our own community. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to just let our voices be heard and continue to peacefully do this properly. You know what I'm saying? Our end is like it I tweeted this earlier. It said, what I say, it feels like the whole world is going to the doctor right now. And I put the hashtag 2020 vision. Like all the stuff is supposed to happen. And we just got to do our part and keep spreading awareness, because it's about time. It's 2020 and we still worried about getting killed by the people that's supposed to protect us. Like, it's whack. So I know
Yeah,
I said a lot. I appreciate it, but it's just something that I'm real passionate about. You know what I'm saying? So, the floor is definitely y'all. The floor is y'all. Floor is y'all for sure.
yeah. Personally, I think I can speak for all of us that I'm tired. I mean,
Yeah.
again, it's just like, okay, here we go again. And I like to say, I love everything the city of Memphis has done. Like I said, we get a bad rep nationally, and now we're
Mm-hmm.
one of the only cities that's peacefully protesting. Minneapolis, I can understand them. Burning down
Absolutely.
Target, it happened there. But Atlanta and like Dallas and seeing some of the videos I've seen, it's like, okay, y'all got to do better. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, burning down, it was a black business owner, got his whole business burnt down. He used his life savings to start the business, and now it's burnt down. Now, some of it's not all of us. They're sneaking some racist white people in here that's doing it themselves, that's disguising themselves. So I just, like I said, it's tiring, but this is a tough time once again. But we do need to make sure we continuously keep this topic going, continuously talk about it. Think back to Colin Kaepernick. Think about it. He took a knee. What happened with this police officer? He had a knee on. Like, it's like, wow. Like, if it's not one way, it's another. Like, racial shooting now is a knee and putting a knee on a person. I saw a video. I don't know if it was Atlanta or not, but they let the dog loose on the guy. Yeah, that right broke my heart, because, like, dude, why the dog was sitting here biting his leg? The officer had a taser and dude FaceTime and not turn over. Like, come on. But yeah, like, it's tiring, but like I said, I'm proud of the city for stepping up the way they have. I did hear like things got a little out of hand last night, which is why we now have a curfew. But we protested 4 or 5 days in a row?
There's a protest going on right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
And with the fact that they established a 10 o'clock curfew lets me know that it can get a lot worse.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Respect our stance on one inequality, but don't get to a point where it's like, all right, we finna get revenge, because we shouldn't be on no curfew.
Yeah.
No, and I'd say that to the mayor in his face. A curfew? Okay, cool. But what
In a
y'all
country
think
where,
now?
in a country
Okay,
where it's
cool.
supposed to be a democracy too. Let's put the democracy part in quotes.
I find it funny that they can instill the curfew and really enforce it as strongly as they are now, but couldn't do it when coronavirus was in full force.
Yeah, absolutely.
So did.
Good luck, man, Strickland. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, and to piggyback on, I think Took and Sharky, y'all have kind of hit the nail on the head. And I think one part that I want to take away from Sharky is I want us to continue to have this conversation. I think what happens is when these incidents, what happened to George Floyd happens, then there's a protest for like 4 or 5 days or for maybe a week, and then after that, then nothing gets talked about again, right? So then you have all these people, whether it be white, black, Mexican, or whatever. Everybody wants everybody to be protected and things like that. But again, it doesn't get talked about 6 months after the fact, and then all of again it happens again. So my thing is, I just really want, if I could be 100 about it, I just would like white people to be as vocal as they are now, and I want them to be that vocal. I want them to be just as loud as they are in 6 months. I think that's the problem that I have. I think everybody wants that black people to be protected and all that type of stuff, which is fine. But again, keep that same energy 3 months down the road. That's all that I'm saying. At this point, I've grown completely annoyed, frustrated. I've cried over the past couple of days because at the end of the day, that could just be any one of us, right? So I mean, that could be Ashley, that could be Savage, that could be that could be any one of us. And I think that's the scary part. I've been a victim of being pulled over while black, and I've been scared when I've been pulled over before. I think I was in a car with Trevor one time when that actually happened in Carterville. It's probably one of the scariest nights of my life. So I just really want us to get to a point where we as black people, again, it's not just black males that this happening to, it's black women as well too. I just want us to get to a point where when we get pulled over, or not even just get pulled over, when we're in the face of a police officer, we aren't scared for our life. When you're supposed to see a police officer, you're supposed to at some point feel safe. And as in 2020, we are now like scared of police officers. That's a very bad thing. And I really wish at some point down the road, because now I have a daughter on the way, at some point I have to have this conversation with her. I just really hope at some point we can this can just go away. At the end of the day, I mean, I said the same thing about COVID-19. I hope at just some point it just goes away, and it seems like it's going away. I just kind of hope that same thing happens with it.
Yeah. These issues are, so for one, my immediate emotional reaction was kind of like Sharky said, I'm tired. Like, I'm so tired of this happening, seeing all the hashtags of, different brothers and sisters getting killed, getting, cops called on them, X, Y, and Z, this, that, and third. My second reaction was paranoia, just because, like Skylar said, it can happen to any one of us at any time. I'm sure we've all had a moment where we have, experienced racism. I've been called an N-word, when I worked with the Grizzlies. I've seen a woman clutch her purse in the elevator with me. Like, these are systemic issues that stem back from slavery, to be honest. And when people say, racism is not an issue, it's like this has been going on for literally generations, hundreds of years, and it's not going away anytime soon, so long as racism is being taught in these homes. My grandfather, God rest his soul, he told me straight up, he said, do not trust white people. Now, to this day, I go to church with white people. I'm friends with white people. I work with white people. My experience is different from his. I can't speak from his experience. He's experienced racism in the heart of like the civil rights movement. He's seen it. That's his reality. All that to say, to all the protesters, black, white, and all the different colors on the spectrum, like that's a huge shout out, for being out there, with us as the black community. But don't let this just be an Instagram post. Don't let it be just a Facebook picture. Don't let it just be, a novel, caption. Like, let this continue on. Let it be a lifestyle that you want to help Black people, get out of this situation and change the world in terms of like making the world less racist. That's all I gotta say before I go into a whole spiel. But But I know that Desi Banks, the comedian on social media, he got in trouble for saying, voting. I see where the backlash came from in the heat of the moment in terms of the emotion. But he does have a point that there needs to be a change at the top, whether that's the presidency, local government, state government. Like, there has to be a unified, body of people that want to see change in the world, so definitely get out and vote, but also it starts at home too. So when you're raising your kids, tell your kids like, hey, it doesn't matter what somebody looks like, I'm about to start preaching, but they are made in the image of God, whether they're black, white, whatever, so yeah, just start it at home, and then hopefully it branches out into the world, and then we can just grow, not just as a country, but as a world, to be honest.
Me, I'll keep it brief, because basically y'all sentiments were the same thing that I pretty much had, but just wanted for us to continue to have this conversation down the line, because I've even noticed now that after a few days of what went down in Annapolis, everything is kind of starting to shift more towards there being an issue on looting than the actual thing is about police brutality and George Floyd's death. So I commend the city for what they were able to do too. I commend you for being in attendance. Don't want to, but I just want our fellow brothers and sisters to stay woke on these riots and these protests, because this is a major setup by the guy that occupies the high seat in the White House for him to look for a re-election in 6 months or whatever. So just in the end, just continue to have this conversation. As Savage said, what got Desi Banks in trouble, which eventually is what we're needing to do in 6 months. But right now, we just need to keep this thing going. Just continue to have that conversation, and let's just keep this on police brutality as a whole and George Floyd, and not just the process of looting and the riots. So that's all I got to say.
I don't know who was next. I'm just sick.
Hop in, man.
But no, like I said, it's times is crazy. Honestly, we're the only race that has rules when we get pulled up from the police. If you think about it, we can't reach for anything, hands shown the whole time. You pretty much got to pull out your phone or something to record just in case things go awry. For what I do and what I drive, I've been profiled multiple times. I've been asked, have I had X, Y, and Z drugs in the car? Stuff that I've never heard of, and it's just because of literally my skin, really. And it's crazy that people still think like this. And to go back on what Savage Granddad said, never trust white people. It's crazy because one of my first best friends was white, and it's literally, it's literally just because, it depends on what the household is teaching the kids, or what the educators are really teaching the kids, because it's like, really, are you teaching the kids that's hanging with the black kids that is wrong? And a lot of racism stems from that. It's literally like, I had one of my white friends actually explain to me, he stays upper Nashville, and he said, he was hanging out with a black kid going over to his house, and his mom had, I guess, another neighbor mom come to her and say, you don't have a problem with him going over, the black people's house? And his mom actually went off on her, just because my friend, my son chooses his friends, and I trust who's around, and I don't allow racism. But it's just crazy because parents are teaching those kids that it's wrong to hang around us, or why are you hanging around those black kids? So it's just like, it stems from home, it stems onto those kids, and they're being taught like they're doing something wrong by hanging with us. And I read a sad story that somebody posted on Facebook saying 10 years ago at Carrierville, they used to have lunch, and basically at lunch, when it was time to hand down the trays, they'll say, pass it down to Browntown, because the black kids would sit together at the end of the table and near the dumpster or whatever. So they were saying, pass it down to Browntown. So it was just like, you mean to tell me in 2010, while we were still in high school, that this was still going on, and it so happened to be one of their football players. And you know, when you play a sport, I hate to say it because most of us in here played a sport, you get special treatment. And so with it being a football player at that time, he didn't get nothing but a slap on the wrist, like, hey, stop doing that type of stuff. So in a way, you're encouraging these kids that, you know, they can get away with it. Like, it's okay. Like, you know, I'm not going to do anything to you. And you're enabling those kids, and it's just, it doesn't fix the problem. And hopefully, you know, sometime soon we get something on a higher end change. Something changes higher end as far as our I'm not even gonna say our congregation, but just our bodies in general when it comes to these type of topics, because I feel like just because we're protesting, I'm fine with it. I don't have no problem with it, but it's just like it takes a considerable amount of change from places that we can't get to, that, you know, some of us normal people can't change. For the ones that's running for office and stuff like that, the power comes from them, and we have to support those people that's trying to make a change. But I'm tired as everybody else, and that's really all I got to say about it.
Yeah, the elder statesman with the son, which I look at differently than everyone on this podcast. And there's no disrespect to you all, but you guys just don't have a son yet. I've been pulled over 23 times. I have 4 tickets to show for that. 2 speeding tickets. 1 was open bottle, which was still a racist thing for them to do. And 1 I got turned back around. 23 times. I've never stopped counting. Most recently was 2 years ago. And I actually didn't know whether or not I was going to come home. And I was literally right up the street from my house. And to your point, I had to tell them, hey, I'm going to my glove compartment. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm going to turn my car off. You know, things that I have to do because I am a black man. Not I'm Mr. Riley working at Freedom Prep High School. Not that guy that gives of his vote or pays his rent on time. Or that. No, I am a nigga in a car. Flat out. That's what we are perceived as. And one of the best videos I saw that I relate to the most so far was that guy. He's like 32. He had the opinion from a guy that was like 47. Was another generation, I would say. And then another kid who was about 15, 16. And that man himself had a son himself. So I can relate to him the best because all of these riots, all this protesting, I'm not saying, excuse my language, ain't doing shit. It's not. Rodney King was beat 92. We forget about George Zimmerman and all these killings that have been done to us. But we are so easy to forgive. We're easy to forgive because we're taught this Christianity to forgive. And I don't want to go too deep into all that, right? But it's different. I'm going home to 3 now. I don't care what's going on outside, what's happening. I don't care if a cop pulls me over. I don't care if Donald wants to talk to me. I need to go home to my 3 at the end of the day. And think about Donald himself, the day after, you know, Donald loves Twitter, just like everybody else who's like 12, loves Twitter. And he neglected to say anything about the looting and things that were going on immediately. His first concern was what Obama did 4 years ago. It had nothing to do with the current state that we're in. So with Desi, I agree about voting, but it ain't just your president you got to worry about. You got to learn about what's going on in the city level and the state level, because honestly, the city and the state are the ones that protect you over the federal. They're going to come to you first. And so I have that problem. Another problem I have a little bit is like, you know, you're not out there. And I'm not out there like, I love you for that. I appreciate you. I'm with you when you go out there. But I also can't take the chance when I go out there because something may go wrong and I got to come home to 3. You got to understand that. And now having to raise a son who I can't let him run in the streets We got to have a closed environment to where we're at. I literally once a month take him to go meet a police officer or a firefighter because I need him to understand that they are for us. I need him to understand that because others will not say that. So his job as a firefighter, his job as a cop is to protect and serve. Now, if he's not doing his job, son, he needs to be fired. But coming home and hugging him, I remember that 2 years ago, meant so much to me because I can't remember who, but it was 3 weeks before I got pulled over last time that someone had got gunned down in broad daylight. And I wasn't going to be the one on that day. You try to teach your son, you try to teach your kids to kind of like bat the other eye or turn the other cheek. But they did that, Martin did that for us. And I love Martin Luther King. They got him shot and killed. So what's to change us from doing what Malcolm did want us to do, which is become our own separate state, our own separate entity. Our Black businesses can flourish with us giving back to them if we give them the space and opportunity to really be a divided state, not a united state. And so with all that, vote, be safe, but also it's not even just about the kids that you have. I have 400 plus kids that rely on me every day. I'm an educator. And yeah, I might not post and boast all that time on social media or whatever, because I actually give words. I'm actually present with them and telling them what to do and how to handle these situations. And so my students are more invested into like what to do as opposed to what is happening. I charge us to go back and not just get back to the community, but get back to those boys and girls in the middle teenagers years right now. Because those are the ones that will start something that will be totally transcendent beyond what we're thinking right now. Pour back into the community that we have left out. Then we can start seeing some type of change. But we get so segregated at times, and I got my degree, I'm gone. Yeah, I'm me, that's me, I'm gone. But I don't mean I'm not still tied back to my community back home. If somebody needs something, they know to call me. This, that, and the third. So we have to step back into the community. We have no choice but to step back into the community because all of us, all 7 of us right here, are the most scarce resource in America as an educated Black man. Sit on that and think about that and think about this systematic oppression of killing the Black man, incarcerating the Black man. They're taking away the Black man because the Black man is the head of the household for the Black family. We cannot let that happen. There's a reason why they let so many people out from those drug charges, but you still got your uncles that's been locked up over an ounce who still can't get no job. There's reasons behind that. So we have to stay out of that to educate the younger ones so that we are not protesting anymore. I'm done protesting. Actions need to happen. And when actions start happening, that's when more results will happen. One person going down for this is not good enough. They need all 4 of those guys arrested and all that for life. Because if he was a Black man, if it was a Black cop, come on now. Come on, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
That's the mic drop right there.
Exactly.
I ain't nothing to say about that.
So, I get. How about you? Go ahead, Sharp.
I was just gonna say, I know going forward, I know one of my things when this happened was, of course, we're a sports podcast, right? But we're all Black, you know. So I was thinking like we need to continue this conversation. So at least one episode a month or something along those lines. I was we all brainstorm and think of some ideas, but we need to bring some type of awareness on at least one episode per month. You know, just continue this conversation. Because one thing that did bother me was when this happened again, my first thought was like, all right, how long, we're going to protest all this stuff. It's going to blow over again. And nothing's going to happen again till when it happens again. And it's just going to be keep recurring, over and over again. So I'm hoping this time, finally, I know I want to start to hear what we do. We continue the conversation, but I hope, it just happens overall in its whole entity, in the whole world.
to kind of take it back to sports, it was good to see a lot of athletes out there. Like I know Jaylen Brown drove from, I think, Boston to Atlanta to go out there and protest. You know, Karl Anthony Towns was out there with Steven Jackson. So it was good to see, you know, the athletes, the Black athlete out there to represent for the community. But like Shiggy said, it's time for action now. Yeah.
You had two.
Like, it's time for them white athletes to come out too.
True that.
Oh, yeah.
True that.
What are you?
True that.
Coaches too.
My boy Carson spoke out.
Nick Saban.
Now, one
Did
thing,
Dabo
like,
talk?
before,
Dabo said something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess before we move on, just briefly, if it's something that, you know, you feel like something that we could, I guess, ask people to do or, you know, have done within like a specific group of people, you know what I'm saying? Like if you had a message for the Black people, what is something we can do, you know, besides just, of course, keep the message going, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, for me, it'll be, you know, for white people just to continue to send love, you know what I'm saying? One thing that's touched me is like, you know, just some of my white friends just texting and, you know, sharing, hey, I love you. And, you know, something simple like that can go a long way. So just for, I guess, the white, you know, the white audience that's listening, you know, just text a Black friend, just tell them you love them. You know what I'm saying? That can be it, but it'll go a long way. So if y'all had anything like that, y'all can send, you know, if it's anything.
I think for me, what I always think about is back to education. I would challenge white people to don't stop loving Black people when they leave elementary school. Like it's all cute when they're 5, 6, 7 years old,
Very influential.
but terrified when they're 15, you know, and got tattoos and are out in the streets. So like basically keep that same energy when these Black kids get into high school and college, you know, show the same level of, you know, emotional attachment that we do when they're cute 5, 6 years old. That's what I would say.
No, they fear us once we hit 6 foot, 200 pounds. It's over. Once you bigger than them, we're a threat.
They love us when our name is like LeBron James. They love us when our name is like somebody to that magnitude. But let it be Marcus Savage, let it be Skylar Clayton. It's just some random dude. Oh, I could care less about him because he's not LeBron James. Like don't just love a Black person because what he does for you. Like love a Black person because who he is. Like love all Black people the same, regardless of what they do, what they're doing for you or not. That's my big thing.
I just want them to stop acting like we're after them for whatever reason. Honestly, we're not out to hurt you. Every time you pull us over, you pulled us over. Honestly,
we just want the same rights that you have.
Exactly.
I don't want to be afraid when I get pulled over. We just want the
same rights that you have.
I don't want to be afraid when I get pulled over. If I was speeding, I'm speeding. Fine.
Yeah.
If I skipped if I did a move and stop sign, you know, cool. But I don't want to pull over and I got to worry about what's going to happen to me or is somebody watching me or somebody near. Like I said, we shouldn't have to have rules about getting pulled over by police.
Yep.
So we have nowhere to call once they pull us over and they do something wrong. Who do you call? If you're supposed to protect us, who are we supposed to call? Like legit, who you gonna call? Other than you telling your friends, your family, and your folks, who you supposed to call for protection?
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call the A-Team. The Expendables. I don't know.
Good night.
I just discussed with CD a blog idea. I think it'll be nice with you. I'd like, I think Savage mentioned it. Probably all of us have been in a situation where racism, right? So I think it's just a blog idea. We just kind of just let it out. Situation we've been in, just give our thoughts and everything. Just make a whole blog on it. I will come up with details later and release it out.
Cool.
Y'all ready to talk about sports?
Shark, before we do,
It's real about the sports now.
Hey, Sharp, but before we do, bro, like I just kind of want us to give like a 10-second moment of silence for just everybody that we've lost, you know, to police brutality, if we could.
Okay.
Good.
Appreciate it.
All right.